Good day everyone, this is Bonsert of Radio Retro Future, but today I'm speaking not as the host of Radio Retro Future, but more as the corporal of the 113th Ragtag. You see, this weekend we were at the Villain Stew, which is a Halloween event in the Netherlands. There were a lot of Halloween events throughout the Netherlands where they've got all these ghost houses and scare actors walking around in parks and stuff like that. Ours was in Park Mondo Verde, to be exact, which is a kind of a zoo and castle garden in one. It's a beautiful, beautiful park. So for my German listeners and Belgian listeners, it's in Limburg, close by to both the German and Belgian border. If you are in the neighborhood, give it a visit. It really is worth the trip, and it's huge. So a big part of this park was turned into a Halloween festival, filled with scare actors and all kinds of scare zones and haunted mansions, if you can call them that. And 113 Ragtag had one of these mansions, called No Man's Land. The organizers wanted to do a Dead Snow thing, but we thought you had the Dutching Dead, which is of course inspired by The Walking Dead. You had all kinds of undead clowns. You had a post-apocalyptic act. So there were more than enough zombie acts going around. So we wanted to do something different, and we also wanted to do with something with Razzle Dazzle camo, which I might do something on a later period, because I think it's a really interesting stuff. We were there with, I think, 10 grenadiers. Some of them were volunteers who went with us just for that event, because we wanted to do something big. We've been preparing this act for 10 months. I think we started somewhere in February. We did a lot of preparation already in the first few months. Then we didn't really get a chance to do anything because we also had to do a lot of other things, and then we basically all through September, November, all we've been doing is preparing all kinds of props, especially landscape, because we wanted to be a little bit more atmospheric. A lot of experimentation on our part, make it something unique. I think we succeeded quite well in doing that. Like, we had this really like No Man's Land. We were in an Asian part of Mondo Verde. We basically turned a kind of a gazebo-like structure into a dark tunnel with a temple, although the temple was not as successful as we hoped it would be. However, we also had this kind of swamp-like area, I guess you should call it, which turned out to become a very good-looking piece of No Man's Land with barbed wire, undetonated explosives. We also had some marked graves, stuff like that. From that part, it was quite successful. As the act itself, on Saturday we were pretty much overwhelmed. At a point there was a line of 2 hours. On Sunday it was no different, except that we had even more visitors walking around in the park. So it was a real mess on Saturday night. Friday. It was a real mess at Friday night. Basically because, we were undermanned, I suppose. That was the biggest problem. We didn't account that we had to let people go through in the quantity as they did. So yeah, and the stewards who were letting people through as the people went through in small groups, they wanted to make the groups bigger and bigger. Now you can imagine, if there is one actor that needs to perform a scare, you can't, in a small tunnel where people basically had to go one by one in order to go through. We also had some hazards and stuff like that people had to navigate through, so they were all going in single file through the tunnel. Now you can make 3-4 people experience a scare when you're alone. However, when there are also corners and there are long lines, you don't have the effect, because half of that group would not experience what was happening. They would not experience the scare. During that time, I had to do a lot of changes on the go. We had to make the groups had to become bigger. Meanwhile, they just kept pouring in, and we just had to keep making adjustments. And it became apparent very quickly that we were understaffed. at our position. But despite that, my grenadiers kept going. They kept on going. They rolled with, you know, the adjustments that had to be made to perform, and despite being completely physically exhausted and already having worked for, I think, about 7 hours. No, I think even longer. I don't know. You know, some of the guys stepped in their car at 6 o'clock in the morning, drove for 3 hours, built up the entire event. That entirely lasted till 7 o'clock in the evening. So yeah, they already had a 13-hour day behind them by the time the act started, and that went on from 7 till 12. So they had a 18-hour workday they had to go through, and they did it. They pulled it off. The Sunday we had to make all these changes because, you know, what we did before simply didn't work. So we had to, you know, we got up at 9, had breakfast, went to the event itself, had to work basically again till 7 o'clock. Sure, it was a lot more relaxed than the previous day, but still. That was another 12-hour workday. The Saturday night went a lot more smoothly. Still, we were undermanned. By the time it was, I think, 10:30, I got alarms like, yeah, our people are about to collapse. Fortunately, by that time, the organizers got some guys from the Dutching Dead to help us, which I'm really grateful for. The one I also haven't mentioned were the actors. One was from Germany, the other one was, I think, a relative of the organizers who played the Alien and Predator, which were dropped at our act because by that time there was no better location for them, which I'm really grateful for because, like I said, we were undermanned as it is, so I'm really grateful they were there to help us, support us to our act. And also there were some nasty things. Yeah, there were also a number of thefts. Fortunately, the stewards caught a few of them. Unfortunately, apparently, they didn't catch one that a visitor took off with my helmet. Having alcohol during an event like this and having 2-hour lines are not a good combination. So yeah, there were a number of incidents with visitors, but that's a completely other topic, and maybe I'll try to organize a stream on that. It is something that when you organize an event with such an amount of visitors moving through your act the way they did, having encampments on conventions like this in general where there is alcohol, and there are also, you know, usually I'm not bothered by drug use. However, in settings like this, when you see visitors smoking a joint, apparently it just didn't work. But, you know, this video is not about that. This video is me complimenting my grenadiers. That's why I'm making this video. Grenadiers of the 113th Ragtag, thank you for all that you've done, for all your determination, and, you know, despite everything that happened, all the things that went wrong, you know, you pulled through and made it a success nonetheless. I cannot express how grateful I am for that, because it could have gone so differently. You know, I've seen so many people just quit and the pressure got too high. So I am so proud that they just went on doing it. It helped me get through the event unscathed. I even got my voice back somewhat. So yeah, I think we did very well, and yeah, there's a lot of room for improvements, but you know, that's a discussion for another time. So again, thank you. Now, as for some other announcements, I finally got my new microphone running. It took me, I had it for, I think, almost 2 weeks now. I just couldn't get it to work, and finally, I got it to work today. I'm really grateful for that. And also, I already announced it on social media, but since today, as a matter of fact, I am unemployed. So I hope to use my new spare time to do more on this channel, make new content, especially new vlogs, because I have a number of scripts. I just didn't get around to recording it, and when I did record it, I wasn't happy with the sound, and now my voice is not the way it should be yet. So, and also, you know, the mic, I couldn't get the mic to work, but finally that's done, and I hope to have a new vlog on this week, hopefully the weekend. I also have some other projects on the side where I also needed a new mic for, and I hope to get to those as well very soon. So hopefully I can give you more information on that as well, because I think it's something a lot of you will really enjoy. I think that's it for now, and as always, make it your way.